Breaking news here on Seahawks today as Seahawks wide receiver Dee Eskridge has been suspended the first 6 regular season games of the 2023 season due to violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. A statement from the Seattle Seahawks moments ago. We are aware of the situation involving Dee Eskridge and have followed league and law enforcement protocol. The news first reported by Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network, putting out this tweet this afternoon. D'Wayne Eskridge of the Seattle Seahawks is suspended for his team's first 6 regular season games of the 2023 season for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. So let's tell you what you need to know on this situation. First off, the personal conduct policy. You may be saying to yourself, what is the personal conduct policy? What constitutes a 6-game suspension from the personal conduct policy? Listen to this, folks. Here are the things that constitute this. Criminal assault or battery, number 1. Domestic violence, dating violence, child abuse, or other forms of family violence. Or number 3, sexual assault involving physical force or committed against someone incapable of giving consent. Those are the things that could get you a personal conduct policy suspension for the length of 6 games like Dee Eskridge did. So we don't know exactly all the details, what exactly went on, but it appears to be one of those things led to this suspension at least. Now, Dee Eskridge would be eligible to return to the Seahawks roster, the 53-man roster, if he even makes the roster to begin with. That's a whole other story we'll get into later. He would be eligible to return Week 7. This does not affect the preseason. He could still play in next week's preseason game against the Minnesota Vikings when that goes on. Still can participate in the preseason, but would not be eligible to return for the regular season, at least until Week 7, based on where things are at right now. So those are the things where we stand. Personal conduct policy suspension, 6 games. Not eligible return for the regular season until Week 7 and can still participate in the preseason. So we'll see what exactly this goes from here. He'll still be involved in the preseason and off-season, off-season activities leading up to the regular season starting. Now, look, I'm not going to sit here and speculate what exactly went on or didn't go on. But I can tell you this, that it's not good, and I'm very disappointed for where this got to this point. Obviously, something bad has happened to get to where we're at now, and we're waiting on all the facts to come in and the details and everything. But just to be here, to get to this point, that's a disappointment, and you hurt for those that involved, that are affected by this. I'm sure we'll get more details eventually down the road, but right now that's where my concern was who was hurt by this situation. Very disappointed in Dee Eskridge, to say the least. And he was just on the football field starting to turn a corner, it seemed, after a slow start to his career. We'll tell you more about Dee Eskridge and his outlook of where things were at on the season in just a moment. But first, what's your one-word reaction to Dee Eskridge's 6-game suspension? Chime in, tell us in the comments section what your one word is to describe the suspension that Dee Eskridge got. Folks, this is why you subscribe. When we got the news, we assembled all of our forces here at Chat Sports to get you this video as quickly as we can, bring you the facts, all the details of the situation, and that's what we do here at Chat Sports. When there's breaking news involving your Seattle Seahawks, we're going to drop whatever we're doing, and we're going to bring you a video. And we have these daily news and rumors segments. We do our live shows on Wednesdays, and on top of all that, we got our watch parties coming back beginning next week with the Seahawks and the Vikings. So if you love your Seattle Seahawks, subscribe now to stay up to date with the latest happenings on your Seattle Seahawks. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Dee Eskridge, the Seahawks spent a very high pick on back in 2021, a second-round pick out of Western Michigan. And he's played in a total of 20 career games over the past 2 seasons and was placed on IR in both those seasons. His career stats are a total of 17 receptions, 122 yards, and 1 touchdown That's it. We have not seen a whole lot of Dee Eskridge. And there was a lot of excitement about Dee Eskridge when he was coming in to the National Football League and to the Seattle Seahawks because of the versatility they brought to the table. This was a guy that had experience as a very, not just good wide receiver, but an explosive special teams player, and it was disappointing. Every time Dee Eskridge takes another step forward, he seems to take another step backwards. Now, granted, an off-the-field situation is much different than what we've typically talked about with Dee Eskridge. I'm not trying to lump those two together. But here's a guy that we've been told, like, hey, Dee Eskridge is having a good offseason. Things are going his direction. This is his chance to stand out and do his thing. And then there's an injury or whatever it may be. Now you have this as well. It's just disappointing that Dee Eskridge stands to get in his own way at times. And you talk about what he was able to do this offseason. We had heard the reports as recently as here in training camp, but you also heard in offseason OTAs just how well he was performing. Caught the attention of his teammate, Geno Smith, saying this: Dee is going to do some things. He's getting ready to do many things. I know things have started slow for him, but it doesn't matter. He's a physical specimen, but he's got everything it takes. He's studying his butt off. That was Geno Smith on Dee Eskridge. I'll show you what Pete Carroll had to say about Dee Eskridge recently in just a moment. But first, today's show is presented by BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, you can get a 125% deposit bonus when you use the promo code Seahawks125 at checkout. It's like buying a pizza and then getting an extra pizza and another slice for free. It's a great deal that we're offering. Put $100 down, get $125 to spend for free at chatsports.com/bet. You can even bet on your Seattle Seahawks, including next week's matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. Seattle, a slight favorites, 2.5-point favorites, over-under at 35. Get your bets in now. Place your bets in your Seattle Seahawks at chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Seahawks125 at checkout. That's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Seahawks125. Here's what Pete Carroll had to say recently about Dee Eskridge. He said, this is his third year. This is that year. Sometimes it takes receivers this time to get it nailed where they can use all the information that we have and let their ability show through. So it's a big opportunity for him. He's got to overcome some years of not getting a lot done. So with that, with the lackluster play that we've seen from Dee Eskridge in his first two seasons in the NFL, now this suspension and the off-the-field situation, if you will, the Seahawks really have to ask themselves the question, is Dee Eskridge worth keeping on this roster or not if you're the Seattle Seahawks? Is it worth keeping Dee Eskridge or should they ultimately move on from him? Because you look at where the Seahawks are at with their receivers. When you have DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jaxon Smith-Njigba, this is going to be a really good group. And when they drafted Jaxon Smith-Njigba this year, they said we're moving forward, that they're not worried about Dee Eskridge, not going to try to depend on him to be one of the top receivers of this offense, that they're going all in on JSN. So the Seahawks have other options, and we've seen Young have his moments. We've heard about Jake Bobo having some flashes in OTAs. So if Dee Eskridge can't get it together, then it might be time to just cut bait and call it a loss potentially if you're the Seattle Seahawks. So let's ask you, with now what we know, in addition to how things have gone the first couple of years for Dee Eskridge, should the Seahawks cut him or not? Weigh in. Tell us what you think in the comment section. Y for yes, in for no, if the Seahawks should cut Dee Eskridge or not. Chime in. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there, and I'll see you next time here on Seahawks Today.